Alright guys, I'm getting everything set up here. Haven't made a video for a while, so just to let you know, my hair does start growing back here first and then up here. I'm trying to go for that mullet look, you know, that really sleek. If any of you guys have a mullet, it's okay. Just saying, for me personally, I look bad with a mullet, but I do like doing this and feeling the hair on my neck. That's probably why I don't have one, because I would do that all the time. Okay, so you guys, so I did the ayahuasca ceremony, and originally I was going to do 2 days, 2 nights, kind of a thing. And so me and my dad were driving up there. He's driving, and I'm just nervous. I've never done anything like this, and yeah, I'm a little nervous. I'm scared, and I'm excited and all of that stuff. But we're driving up there, and it's this remote location. It was in Westwater, and it was off of one of the exits, exit 227, I think. And so it was about 3 hours for us to get there. And we're driving along, and we went the wrong way the first time because the instructions were, well, okay, it was the way we read the instructions that were wrong, not the instructions themselves. But to our credit, 4 other people were behind us and following all the mistakes that we were making. So, yeah. All right. So we get up there, and I meet with the facilitator. His name was Scott, and he was like the head facilitator guy. Really nice guy. I mean, everyone there was so nice. So, like, these people did this ceremony, and yeah, they got paid for it and all this stuff, but they were the kindest people. I didn't sense any ego drama or bullshit or anything. These were just really nice people. And so, we hang around. I got there at like 7:15 or around there, and the ceremony didn't actually start till 10. So we were just kind of hanging out and talking, and I was talking with a few people. And I'm kind of a shy and reserved person. I'm trying not to be, but when it comes to people and stuff, I just have a hard time relating. And luckily with this, I actually did feel like part of the group. I didn't do a hell of a lot of talking, but I did feel like part of the group, and it felt good. I felt like I had a little soul family for the night, It was nice. Okay, so I'm talking with people, about tarot stuff or about whatever, and finally we're getting ready. Like it's getting darker and darker, and as it's getting darker and darker, I'm thinking, I keep thinking, okay, when my dad drops me off, I could still, go back. I could still say, okay, I don't want to do this. I can still go back. But then I thought, no, I can't do that. But as the night started creeping in, I'm like, okay, whew, I want to leave. It's the only way I can describe it. I didn't want to be there, And I kept thinking, oh man, what if this brings up some really bad shit that I can't deal with? And I kept thinking, all these thoughts kept rushing through my head, right? And so we get to the time where the facilitators are sitting, and there's like this altar that we would go up to, and they're sitting and they say, okay, people that have never done the medicine before, the medicina before, please come up and take it. And that's the ayahuasca or yage, and I think that's how you say it, Y-A-G-E. And so I go up, and I was like the 3rd person to take it. And I remember taking it, and I remember sitting there, and I'm like, I'm not feeling any different. And by the way, it was in a shot glass about this big, and it was about half full, okay? And if you want to talk, and I mean, this stuff's incredible, and I love this stuff. I'm feeling so good today. It's crazy. But it tastes, oh, God, I don't even know how to describe the taste. It's like, okay, it's like licking the inside of a Hershey Kisses ass. And I know that sounds horrible, but I'm being serious. It does not taste good. But then there's kind of a weird bitter sweetness to it, and it's like, oh God. Okay, anyway, if you guys are still with me after that rather lewd imagery. Anyway, so I take it, and they had these little orange slices that help it go down better, and it actually did. It made it so it didn't taste as bad as what I described earlier, but it was still pretty bad. So I go back to my mat, because we're in this little building where we're all sleeping kind of like this open style, and this building is like an older building. It's kind of not falling apart, but there's no windows, there's no anything, and you're just kind of out in the wilderness, you know, just with a roof over your head, and that's it. And I go back to my mat, and I'm tired. I'm so tired, you know. That previous day when I got dropped off, I told you I got there at like 7 at night. Okay, I had been up since 3 in the morning when I got there 7 at night. So when the ceremony started at 10, I'd been up for almost 20 hours. And I was tired. Like I'm sitting there thinking, and I was hungry, and you can't eat during the ceremony or a little bit after. Your last meal was at 5. My last meal was at like 3 in the afternoon. And so I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm wishing I was home, but I take the medicine and I don't feel anything for a while. I get up and I go to the bathroom, and you got to watch out for black widows, because, oh God, right? What would a retreat be without having to watch out for black widows? I mean, not trying to hate on the black widows, but those things like to crawl into things and then bite other things on your body. Okay, but so yeah, I take it, and I'm laying in my sleeping bag, and there's these gnats flying around. And I'm just like, oh man. And they just kept coming up and buzzing in your ear and doing all that. So I take the sleeping bag, I go like this, I cover my head, and I don't know how long I was doing that for. I think I fell asleep. Pretty sure I did. So I fall asleep, and I wake up. And when I wake up, I open my eyes. And I'm just like this. I'm just like, you know, like, whoa. And I'm like, I'm not really feeling it, but I kind of am feeling it. And I'm like telling myself exactly what I'm feeling as I'm feeling it. It was weird. But all of a sudden I start feeling a little queasy, right? And I'm like, oh boy, you know. And I start like, you know, you start swallowing a lot, and you're like, oh. And then I kept saying, I'm not going to resist this. I'm just going to let everything happen, because the more you resist, it persists, kind of a thing, right? And so I'm saying, okay, I'm going into this. I'm not going to resist, and I'm starting to feel a little bit more nauseous, a little bit queasy. But then the ayahuasca starts to hit, okay? And when this thing hit, it was like, the first thought I had was it was like a sleeping pill combined with a muscle relaxer, a little bit. And then there was this feeling of like being grateful for everything, like absolutely everything. Even the hardships in your life you're grateful for. It alters your perception to be able to see the true obstacles, right? And it's funny that every time it's us, we're the true obstacles. Yet we like to blame other people, we like to blame other situations, things, events, and so on. But it's us, I can promise you. And I'm feeling grateful, I'm feeling good, and I'm still feeling queasy. Like, I'm feeling pretty nauseous and sick, but I was so grateful that, like, I could almost laugh at the nausea a little bit. I could be like, yeah, this isn't that bad, you know? And then I would keep getting these little thoughts, these little anxious thoughts that would come in for a second, and then they would leave, you know? And my mind, when I was having these thoughts, was like, it wouldn't let them persist. So it would flash in for a second, then it would pull back, and then I would be able to have those euphoric thoughts, those gratitude thoughts again. And what was interesting was that it was as I thought that I felt the anxiety, you know? And I'm like, oh, you know, at the time I'm like, oh man, this is nice. I'm just relaxing, I'm doing whatever. And then, so I start the ayahuasca, the first shot I took starts to wear off. And I don't know how long this had been. It's pitch black. You can hear the coyotes howling in the background. Far away. I'm pretty sure they were far away. But they say the ayahuasca messes with your sound perception. So literally they could have been right next to me and like gnawing on my leg, and I just would have been giggling. I don't know. It's crazy. But so then I start to feel, as the ayahuasca, the first shot's wearing off, I start to feel this existential anxiety. And I mean, it was bad. It's the worst anxiety I've ever had in my life. And it was about everything. People dying. Not me dying necessarily. I feel like, in a way, I've worked through that. I'm not okay with dying. Like, I'm not just going to go outside and be like, today's the day I die, or whatever. But I feel like I'm okay with that. It's usually other people I worry about. Because I feel like if I die, it's okay, kind of. But if other people die, it's not. And that's messed up, I know. But I don't want to die, and I'm not seeking ways to die. Anyway, I'm digging myself in a hole here, guys. So, I'm feeling this anxiety. I'm feeling this existential, like, bad anxiety. And I couldn't get my mind off of it. And my thoughts are racing, and I couldn't get to that place I was before, that happy place, that feeling that I had. And I started to freak out a little bit. Not bad or anything, but I started to freak out. And then I go up to the altar where all the facilitators are, the people holding the ceremony. And I go up to this guy, Scott, and he puts one hand on my back and one hand right over my heart in the same spot. And he tells me to breathe and to just focus right in between his hands. And he's leaning in close and he's whispering in my ear and he's just telling me this. He's trying to help me in the best way he can, and he was helping me, and I appreciated him doing that. Because I said, I want to go up and I want to do another shot. Because to be honest, the anxiety was insane. I would rather I would have rather done anything. I would have rather gone through physical pain, like really bad physical pain, than have to deal with that anxiety. Like, I would have rather gone through a surgery of some kind. And I hate surgeries. I've had them when I was a kid, and I think it's a trauma that I've had. But that's what I was feeling. It was bad. It was horrible. But then he told me that the anxiety that you feel is part of the healing process. The more anxiety that you feel, that means that there's a wound there. That means that there's something that needs to be worked on. And that you just need to do, as he said, you don't need to do a goddamn thing. And, and he said it again, you do not need to do a goddamn thing. Just let yourself be. That's the only thing you have to do. And for someone like me, and I think other people are like this too, you've been in your mind. We live in the physical, but we vacation in the mind, and that's kind of like, we're all about the vacation experience. We live in the mind. We take everything into the mind. We analyze it. So yeah, and he says, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'll give you another shot, but first we're going to do this. And then he said some stuff. I was still kind of feeling the first shot, and when he said what he said, I was like, what? But instead of saying, what? I just said, okay, not knowing what I was agreeing to. And he grabs this thing, okay, and he says, and he whispers in my ear, and he's like, this is a hollowed out vulture bone. And I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh God, what is he going to do with that, But then he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up this end, and it has something in it called rape. And I was thinking, rape. Because I remember he mentioned it sometime before, and he said something about helping to clear your sinuses or something. And I was like, okay. And then he goes on and he explains what rape does is, and he wasn't a Native American. I don't know why I'm doing like a weird accent. Okay, stay on course here. He says what rape does is that it makes it so you can't think during the ayahuasca experience. It opens your gateways. And the gateways that he's talking about are our thoughts are the guardians of our gateways. The gateways are our true selves and our emotions. Our thoughts prevent us from feeling our true selves and emotions. The ego has a way of setting up these barriers and it makes it so that you feel like you don't want to cross them ever, because it's painful, it's uncomfortable, and you don't want to do it, right? And most people get stuck, and they so he tells me that, and then he says it's going to help you to not think about the experience. It's going to help you to just be. And I said, okay, yes, I don't care what it is. If it helps me to not think, to get rid of this anxiety, I'm fine with that. Okay? And so he takes this vulture bone, and he puts it right here, and he says, put it in your left nostril, and then you hold it like this, okay? And the important thing is you do not inhale this, but he says, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow it into your nose, and you do not want to inhale this. And I'm like, okay. I'm thinking that's going to be easy to do, to not inhale it. But he does it, and he says, now put your tongue back of your throat, as far back as you can go comfortably, And then he said, you want to go, like that, to make it so that you can grab the mucus, because the debris from the rape and the vulture bone and stuff, you don't want that going into your lungs. And so you have this little bucket you can spit into or throw up into or whatever. But so I do that. I do what he told me to do, and he does the one nostril, and I'm just like, I thought it was going to be smoke. I thought it was going to be like a gentle thing. He does it, and it's hard. It's like bam, and I'm like, oh. I remember, and I was trying to be quiet. There's like 20 other people in the room, and they're going through their own experience. And I just let out kind of a thing, and I'm like, oh man, because it hurt. I mean, it burned. Oh, it burned. And so he did that one, and I'm like, oh. And then he says, okay, now we got to do the other one, and that's what I was afraid of. I'm like, oh, shit, he remembered. But so then we do the right nostril. Same thing, but I'm used to it this time. I know what to expect. It wasn't as bad. And it was about like 3 or 4 minutes later, my sinuses are clear, and my anxious thoughts that I was having, I could still kind of have them, but they were diminished greatly. It's something that this rape did, made it so that my thoughts weren't chammering away and just, whatever. And if I tried to have negative thoughts or think about anxiety or whatever, I could do it for a second, but it was literally like my thought was, like I could think one word of the thought. I could think one fragment of the thought, and then it was hard for me to carry it on. It was hard for me to keep thinking about it. Does that make any sense? It was just like really, 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 really difficult to maintain thought function. So after that, we did another shot, or I did another shot, and I go back to my sleeping bag that I was laying on the ground with, and I go to the bathroom, I go pee, and then I come back into the ceremony space, and the whole time off and on that we were doing this, they would play instruments, and he would chant, and the other members in the groups would chant. And it was beautiful the way it was done. It was so loving and caring. It was like, in a way, it was like finally finding a home for your soul. It was like this place that was deeply healing and refreshing, and everyone there was just out to get you to a better place. The opposite of being selfish, and the opposite of just a lot of the world. It was just a very loving place. So I do this second shot, and it takes me about 30 minutes to start feeling the effects. This time, though, I feel the effects, and I'm just like, and oh man. So, and I'm doing this with my hands. I'm going like this a lot, right? And you can see my kitty's got my hands a little bit, but I'm going like this with my hands a lot when I'm going through the experience, because I'm queasy and I'm really sick, and my hands are just slick with sweat, right? And it's just like that point, your stomach, the saliva in your mouth is producing a lot, and you're just feeling sick, and you're just feeling, you're just feeling horrible. And I'm going through that, and this time, this shot here, my anxiety that I had increased. And again, he told me that's because you're healing injuries. So all you have to do is sit through it. The only thing you have to do is just be present with it. Don't think about it. Just feel it, right? And I'm thinking the first shot was so much better, you know? And I'm wishing I had never done this. And I'm going through everything in my mind. And I'm just like, I wish I never did this. I wish I was home. I wish that, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of went on from there. And I'm like, wow. You know, and it's just horrible. I mean, the queasiness on top of the anxiety, on top of everything, the worst anxiety I've ever had by far, by absolutely an amazing amount. Okay, I mean, having anxiety and then having anxiety's big brother come in and just kick your ass hard, and that's exactly what it was. And it was anxiety in the ass, anxiety. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, we'll do the t-shirts later. But so I'm going through that, and I lost my train of thought for a second. Give me a second. Some of that rape got up my nose again. Okay. So I'm going through that, and I'm feeling the queasiness, and all of a sudden I feel like, okay, I need to sit up. And right when I sit up, and I'm lucky I have the bucket right there, right when I sit up, I go over the bucket, and I'm just going to town. I'm just throwing up, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's the kind of throwing up where in the middle of heaving, you're heaving. Like, you're like, and then in the middle of that, you're, you know, and the whole thing. Yeah, and there was chunks galore, and I just felt sick. But then when I threw up, immediately everything felt a lot better. Like, my anxiety went from like a 15 out of 10 to like maybe a 5. And then it just started going down after that. And that's what the ayahuasca does. My understanding is that it takes the anxiety, it takes all of those emotions, and the reason why you purge is because of that energy that those emotions produce. You throw up, and then you feel better because the energy is gone. It's out of your system, the negative energy. And so I do that, and I'm just like, oh, God, you know. And I sit up, and I can feel a slight breeze, a slight morning desert